At the age of 21 years, he's said to have taken over the music industry by storm. Together with a group of youth that are currently rehearsing behind me, they are said to have revolutionized the music industry in Kenya by starting the urban pop music. However, his life was cut short immediately. This is the untold story of Isa Wangui Mari. My name is Duncan Haemba.
Mombasa Police Station presents Inspector Isa Lenny. Tumekuja kuwashika.
The late Isa Mari, who was born on 20th May 1981, is best remembered as being among the pioneer Kenyan youth who broke the ceiling for Kenyan music artists. At the tender age of 21 years, he was already a superstar who ruled the airwaves. David Madenge, popularly known as Nameless, is among his close associates of Nairobi's South Sea estate.
Isa was a very good friend of mine. In a short time, we really connected. Yeah. Initially, I wanted to meet him because I'd heard his music, and the little I'd heard I really liked, and vice versa. He also told me the same thing. He had heard my music and wanted to meet, and immediately we met. We just struck a strong friendship. Isa, people know him. He was fun-loving, super talented, but yet very humble. I always say that what amazed me most was Isa would be more excited to meet his fans than the fan is excited to meet him. You see, the fan will be excited to meet him, but when the fan goes, you see the excitement of, wow, did you see that? They love me and all that. And for me, it used to be like, but you're really good. And yes, but to him, it still amazed him that people really love him and what he's doing. And in terms of his work ethic, what I admired about him is he was very fast in learning and adjusting to the market. He has his talent, but he has a market to understand. And I always remember his adjustment within a year or two, and that's why we can still talk to him about till now. He came with his talent, introduced himself with his talent, people liked him, but then he quickly looked and said, how can I make more people connect with my messaging?
In conjunction with Ogoba, tumekuja kuhakikisha kwamba speakers inasikika. Hey yo mister, are you a member? Hey yo sister, wacha kulenga. Can't you see that I'm talking to you? Sasa weka mikono tu.
They had met, connected, and forged an alliance. The mission taking the Kenyan music industry to the next level.
For us, one of the things that made us connect is we said this industry is not that easy, and we need to collaborate together to combine our strengths so that we can conquer the industry. And that's where we came up with the collaborations of Boomba and Maisha. If you really listen to the songs and the lyrics, they're about people saying, you know what, I have to check in our art. That line is there, meaning that we mean business. We're here, and if you're not with us, enda mbali na sisi. Or if you're with us, join the Boomba train. And at that point, when I met Isa, as an artist, I was bigger than him, older than him, but also bigger than him in the industry. But he quickly adjusted and he started growing very fast. So we started doing shows together, and I always be the one who finishes the show. He starts the show, and then I come after him, and then I call him back to do the collaboration.
The two had a strategy and had been executing it. On Saturday, 15th March 2003, they left for Nakuru town for a performance at Dimple's Club. But as fate would have it, that was the last time the two friends, the two superstars, would share a stage.
Nakuru was the first time we talked with him, and I was telling him, you know, Isa, your brand has become so big that tonight you have to finish the show. I have to start it and you finish it. And he was like, wow, you think so? And I'm like, yes, I think at this point it's tipped. You know? And I can't lie to you, even if he's in heaven right now, I know he went with a very good feeling. because that was the most amazing show. It was in Dimples, Nakuru. It was so, you know, when you say someone is at the peak, the love was ridiculous. It was so full. I remember I can't even remember. We were in such, the stage was so packed. We couldn't even move. But the love and energy was so extreme. And after the show, we went back and we were talking about the show and we were just saying, wow, like our dream is coming true. Yeah, we are conquering this industry. And I mean, we partied and then the next morning we were like, okay, fine, we've rested enough now. We need to start traveling to Nairobi.
Issa and Nameless had taken the Rift Valley town of Nakuru by storm that Saturday night. They had sung and conquered Nakuru. On Sunday, 16th March, they embarked on their journey back to their base, Nairobi. They were scheduled to perform at Uhuru Park grounds that Sunday afternoon, and so they had to move fast. However, tragedy struck at Elementaita along Nakuru-Nairobi highway.
Issa was a very good friend of mine. In a short time, we really connected. Yeah. Initially, I wanted to meet him because I'd heard his music, and the little I'd heard I really liked, and vice versa. He also told me the same thing. He had heard my music and wanted to meet, and immediately we met. We just struck a strong friendship. Issa, people know him. He was fun-loving, super talented, but yet very humble. I always say that what amazed me most was Issa would be more excited to meet his fans than the fan is excited to meet him. You see, the fan will be excited to meet him, but when the fan goes, you see the excitement of, wow, did you see that? They love me and all that. And for me, it used to be like, but you're really good. And yes, but to him, it still amazed him that people really love him and what he's doing. And in terms of his work ethic, what I admired about him is he was very fast in learning and adjusting to the market. He has his talent, but he has a market to understand. And I always remember his adjustment within a year or two, and that's why we can still talk to him about till now. He came with his talent, introduced himself with his talent, people liked him, but then he quickly looked and said, how can I make more people connect with my messaging?
Coincidentally, among the songs he had released, Issa had composed a specific one by the name Mos Mos, which loosely translates to Hari Hari has no blessing.
The driver Shadi stepped out, he's out of the car, he's moving around. The car is upside down. I'm asking, Kevin, he's just groaning, but he's moving. Then I look, I'm not seeing Issa. So I've managed to come out of the car. When I come out of the car, there's so many people, I don't know where they've come from. Yeah? Now people are coming to help people, because it has just happened. So now you're seeing, I think a bus stopped. So some people are holding me, telling me, okay, Ngia Gari, others. So in my head, I'm like, okay, what's going on? Where is Issa? So I asked them, where is Issa? They told me, yo ameshachukuliwa. That's what they told me, yo ameshapelekwa. Later on, I found out he had not been taken. He was still there, but he had been thrown off the car during the accident. So apparently he didn't have a belt at that time. He had worn a belt when we left Nakuru, but when we stopped to go to the toilet, he had removed it and I brought it back. So I was in the hospital, and the first person who came to see me was my brothers from Nairobi. That was like 2 hours or 3 hours later. So this whole time I'm asking, where is Issa? They're telling me he's in another hospital. He's recovering. So actually, I always remember the person who first told me that Issa didn't make it and died actually on the highway was my brother.
Habib Amin is late Issa's only brother and lastborn in a family of 5. He had an early morning that fateful Sunday when he learnt of the sad news.
When he went for the show, there's this shirt that he had, and I used to really want it. And I'd asked him for it, but he refused to give it to me. So when he left, I took advantage and I went with it out. I'd gone out for the rave on that day. So when I got back in the morning, early in the morning, the first thing I did was to wash that shirt, so that by the time he's coming back, it will have dried up and I will have put it back in his closet. So as I was waiting, while the shirt was drying up the next day, I saw Big Pen running into the house, and he told me, "Have you heard from your brother?" I'm like, "No." And he told me something bad has happened. I'm like, "What do you mean something bad?" Then he told me they were in an accident. Then I'm like, "Is he okay?" He didn't answer me. He told me, "Where's your mom?" My mom had gone to, she was doing some errands, and I remember Nameless called her later on, and he was also in Nakuru, was involved in the accident, and that's when he gave her the bad news. So when I saw what was going on, I was so shocked. I didn't know whether to cry. I didn't know what to do. It was so overwhelming for me.
He says it is the overwhelming moral support from friends and neighbors that helped them as a family to come to terms with the tragic news.
It was sad, but as people came in, kept on coming in, we had some kind of relief that we had support. We weren't on our own. We were mourning with other people. And that's when we knew what kind of person Issa was. He was somebody who was loved because of his good deeds.
Issa hatucheki na watu, Nameless hatucheki na watu, ma MC hatucheki na watu.
Back in Nakuru on his hospital bed, Nameless was still in denial that Issa was no more. The man who had literally brought down Nakuru town with him less than 24 hours ago.
When I was told that, it didn't sink in. You get me? It doesn't sink in. Like, I was with you the other time. What do you mean you're not there anymore? So it didn't sink in. When now they were taking me back to Nairobi, that was like at 7. It was 7. Because it was 7 o'clock news. When we were driving back to Nairobi is when I heard the song Boomba play and the presenter announcing. Nyimbo imefanywa na Issa na Nameless, walikuwa Nakuru, wakapata ajali na Issa akafariki. You know, that's the time it sunk in. I don't know how come, but when I heard the announcement is when it sunk in. In fact, in my adult life, that's the only time I cried, you know, because that is when it started sinking, like, this guy didn't make it. And we got to Nairobi. It was an emotional journey coming back, because that whole time it was just quiet in the car, and in my head it's now beginning to sink in that this has happened. And I got to Nairobi, I met the mom. I always remember the mom hugging me and asking me, "Why didn't you protect my son?" You know, it was so painful. Because every time she would know that I'm going with Issa, because she saw me as his big brother, she would feel comfortable. She'd be like, "Oh, Munenda na Nameless, okay, sawa." You know, that thing of, I'm sure. So I always used to feel that obligation of, you know, I'm like a big brother Issa, you know, because I'm like, you know, your mom gave me that meaning, like, watch over my son. So it was painful to, you know, to come and see her. And she looked at me like, man, because before we left for Nakuru, we went to pick Issa, and I met the mom. And she was like, "Oh, Munena Nakuru, take care, guys, you know." And we're like, "Usijali, tutakuwa sawa."
I knew there was something wrong because he wasn't himself. Big Pin is a jovial guy, and him and Issa were very close. were very tight. And I could see it on his face that my brother was no longer there. I could just tell. Yeah, so I didn't have any strength in me to talk or even to move. Because this guy I had known for so long had actually left this world. And I didn't get a chance to tell him how I felt about him or thank him for all the things he had done for me.
Swabri Mohammed, popularly known as Red Sun, is among artists that had been lined up to perform at Uhuru Park. They were to share stage with Issa that Sunday afternoon. Together with other artists and fans were eagerly waiting for the dynamic duo of Nameless and Issa. However, none of them could make it. One was injured and in a Nakuru hospital. The other was dead.
It was very sad because that same day we were scheduled to perform together. We had a concert at the Uhuru Park that same day, and he was coming from Nakuru. They were driving, coming down, and they were supposed to perform just before us. So they had delayed us to go on stage, waiting for them, and then we had the news. It was so tragic, but there's no mistakes in God's work. So it's until now. There's no words to describe how we felt and how we still feel. But we remember him as one of us, one of the Kenyan legends who helped shape and change the music industry in Kenya, and he's going to be remembered like that forever.